Hey, what's good? What's good? What's good? Y'all know what it is. It's me, your boy Trey. First formation, morning sports talk. Bishop is a little late. 4856 ain't no problem. You know how it is. But of course, we have a couple of special guests that's going to be rocking with us this morning. Of course, y'all know my man Ron, the Speakeasy is in the building. As y'all already know, Commissioner Mike Myers of the NBA. That's the Military Basketball Association. Y'all know what that is. If you've been here before, y'all checking. If not, you about to know. You're about to find out. Gentlemen, what's good with y'all this morning?
Hey, I think you got it wrong. It's no Trey Damas, not just Trey today.
Yes,
Mr.
no straight.
H1.
Thank you, y'all. If y'all been rocking, y'all know what it is. That's probably why Bishop's acting like his computer ain't working this morning because you know what I'm saying, from the depths, out the ashes, I have emerged. What's going on, Commissioner Myers? What's good with you this morning, sir?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. I'm just doing a lot of planning and preparing for a really exciting postseason for the Military Basketball Association. We're talking 24 teams. It's going to be pretty cool, and I'm really excited about it. And what's the first formation? That's the best title in the business. And
Yes, sir.
anytime I can get a chance to talk to you guys, I think it's awesome.
Yes, of course, we're going to definitely get into it as we have a couple of others and individuals which you came, you know what I'm saying, you came with the crew, came show up to sit up and talk that stuff where they can sit up and let us know their portions of the NBA, how this NBA thing got started. And of course, some of the veterans and what they did in their careers. That's what this is all about. So, of course, you know what I'm saying, Mike, if you want, you can go ahead and introduce your counterparts so we can go ahead and bring them in. We can get this thing rolling along. High, ho, lock, and load.
Absolutely. So I got three guests that are here with us today. First, my right hand, kind of like my sergeant major, if ever I had one for the NBA. Coach Angel Acevedo. I don't know if he's on yet, but when he gets on, he's the deputy commissioner. And then my other deputy commissioner, Commissioner Jason LaFasciano, he's got 3 conferences that he runs across the United States, and then he helps out with all of the other conferences and a lot of the rules that run the conferences across the country. And then for the first time in Military Basketball Association history, we're going to be live streaming our events from 2 different locations. And so RSN Sports and their founder and CEO Kevin Walker is here with us today, and I'm really glad that we have a really special team.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, of course, as we know, the NBA, we talked to Commissioner Myers before a while back, in which we discussed the vision and how he came across the whole the NBA. What's interesting is, for a second, of course, knowledge is power. I wasn't correlating the difference between now what you have in the nationals, the military nationals, the difference in the NBA. But through certain channels, I've learned and understood. Now I understand. Yeah, saying there's a couple of people which I've had on that's kind of like broke it down to me and everything. And then, of course, supposedly, which I saw that you said like you're back with them in doing with your team in the military national. So, of course, as the hero's journey go in marketing has come full circle. But for Jason, three, count it, 3 divisions. How is that, Jason, with the 3 divisions? Like, how do you keep?
So I'll say this. It all started with the Central.
Okay. Yes, let's stand up. Let's talk about the Central.
Let's talk about the Central.
Folks, stand up. Let's go.
Yep.
Where was Central at?
There you go. So we started with the Central, where the commissioners at the time were stepping away and they needed someone to take over. At the time, I was an assistant coach with Fort Riley, and it was either I took it over or the Central pretty much broke up and died. So, I went ahead and took it over, kept the format and the plan that my predecessors had with the games and everything, and just started reaching out to bases in the Central U.S., all the way up from Nebraska down to Texas. And we just started asking teams, if you want to be in the conference, and they decided to come in. So we built the Central from like 8 to 16 teams in the first year. So with that, as other teams or other places were starting to see that the Central was thriving in military basketball as we were starting to come back, I had the Pac West team come on board and ask, hey, can you do for us what you did for the Central? And I was like, yeah, sure. I'll just mimic what we're doing and we'll put it together. So we started the Pac West Conference, which included a lot of the teams out in California, Nevada, Arizona, in that area. Once that got off the ground, the Atlantic, the teams that were below the WAMAC and above the CMAC, which are the two conferences out there, wanted to get involved. So we just decided to go ahead and put a conference out there, and that started with 10 teams. So next thing you know, 2 years, 3 years later, here we were sitting with 3 conferences. And because we were mimicking what we did in the Central, it was easy to duplicate it in the West and on the Atlantic, and it started running itself. So I just had to put schedules together, pretty much.
Okay, so it became an autopilot thing ultimately.
Autopilot.
Okay, I see. Mr. Walker, RSN Sports. How has it been so far? I know I from our dealings with Commissioner Myers, we know that he's a busy man. So what has this been so far? The connection and doing and the talks and stuff. Has it been a roller coaster or has it been nothing but smooth sailing? Are you ready for the task?
Well, unfortunately for me, it's been mostly smooth sailing. Mr. Myers is very helpful, very supportive. We're basically a small company, and he's gave us an opportunity to really showcase, basically the strength of what technology is doing right now for small companies, which you guys already know with live stream and so forth of that nature. So, it's a space that we're just great to be in. We're humbled and just, and we also look at it as a service. So we were just glad to be here, and he's been awesome, and everybody that's been around us. We were actually introduced to them by from a company called Warrior Gaming with a gentleman called Russ Laney. Actually hooked us up, and Dr. Drobes, I think his name is, and they kind of hooked us up, and everything just went from there. Mr. Myers has been great, just doing everything that we need to do to make this thing happen.
Okay, just like Jason with you can implement a plan, let them be known, just like a true commander does, and let them go out and do what they do, free flowing with it. So of course we're keeping that military aspect in it. But let's get into some of the sport a little bit. So of course we already know what Commissioner Myers squads and all that is, and who he represents. So Jason, Kevin, this is Sports Talk. What teams are y'all repping? NBA, NFL, NCAA. Please don't say Oklahoma. I do not want to hear Boomer Sooner at this junction.
Not from here.
But who y'all representing?
Well, I'm DMV tried and true, which I don't know. A lot of people might not know the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, and I know it's been a laugh for about 40 years. But I gotta go with my Wizards right now. Obviously, we're not gonna win any championships, but for a team like us that's struggling and for what it looks like in the DMV area for sports, anything that's positive progress is a good progress. So I'm riding with them. DMV all day.
That's the NFL too, Mr. Walker?
Oh no, you said NBA. I thought you was with the NBA.
Well,
but now NFL. Yeah. NFL. I'm sorry. I would like to say that I'm a Washington Commanders, but I'll be honest with you, I really don't like the name. I don't like the name. I'm one of those fans that are still in denial. I don't like the name. I've been around since the Hogs back in the day. So for me, the Commanders is a little bit, but I'm with it, and I'm gonna follow orders on that. And if it's the Commanders, it's the Commanders as it is. But hard to say it though.
All right, Jason.
Well, basketball-wise, NBA-wise, I'm a Knicks fan. Always have been, always will be. Being from New York, hey, that's why I am. I ride with that blue and orange. But we've been down for so long, so I don't talk about them much. But it is what it is. As far as the NFL goes, contrary to popular belief, I'm not a Jets or a Giants fan, and I blame my mother for this one. I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. I have been.
Kick him off the show. Kick him out the classroom. Kick him out the classroom. If y'all watch Wildin' Out, kick him out the classroom. If y'all watch Wildin' Out, kick him out the classroom.
Now you got
five championships, okay? Y'all can say what y'all want. 5. There ain't but too many other teams that can say they got more. It's been a while, but hey, them 5 still got.
Trey,
you know what's gonna happen, Bishop? Bishop, you know what's about to happen? It's like the Candyman and Watch Applewhite's about to appear.
Oh, you already know.
You watch Applewhite's going to appear. So I see what you have to do with Mike. I understand. I see now. It all comes to fruition. I see. So, of course, interestingly enough, hey, Ron, what installations up there, or which installation are y'all near? See, Ron is in Alaska, so
JBR.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Richardson.
Yes, sir. We need to get some of that lead connection up here. I know
I
y'all
have one already for you.
We're working it.
We're working a sports director's up there. I think he's at either Fairbanks or Wainwright.
Okay.
But he's in the sports office and he's trying to get the NBA Alaska. He's working it.
Ooh. I love to hear it. I just got stationed here a couple months ago, so still hoping to get connected.
So of course, have y'all been checking out the how do we say the playoffs? Let's just put it plain and simple. The playoffs. Are y'all enjoying the playoffs? Are y'all not entertained?
Hold on. Hold on, Jason. Jason, Mike, Kevin. First of all, let me say good morning to y'all. I was having technical difficulties with my computer.
We know. I told y'all why he was having technical difficulties.
They've
been briefed already.
That's why I'm saying good morning to y'all, because I know he gave y'all some blasphemy excuse on why I wasn't on here. So let's get an understanding real quick, gentlemen. Let me explain to y'all. Right now, you see he can't get that grin off his face. The reason why he can't get that grin off his face, because he's been taking some serious L's for the past few weeks. Matter of fact, even Ron, Professor Lowe, can tell you he took a serious L during the Super Bowl. And so, since the Super Bowl, he's been taking detrimental L's all the way up until the past couple of nights. And when I say that, yeah, Freddie, I'm finna go in on him, because you see him change his name to Nostradamus or whatever. It's been Trey all week, but now he's so-called got a couple of wins under his belt, so he's feeling himself. As my mama used to say, he's smelling himself. You know what I'm saying? He's smelling himself. So he think he grown, and he not grown. But anywho, I'm gonna let him do what he do and keep it moving. But we know, Trey, you got your little wins last night. It is what it is. I'm gonna let you have it today.
I'm not going to even start there. What I would like to talk about initially is the one and done rule. So, of course, what we have, some of the top talents in Chet Holmgren as well as Panchero from Duke have decided to declare themselves from the NBA. I want to ask y'all, gentlemen, what do you think about this aspect? I guess you can almost assimilate it to military basketball as well, or military, because y'all know, of course, we have where we got to do a couple of years. It might be hot. Decide, okay, I'm going to go ahead and drop this contract, stop this first enlistment, become a reservist. I'm going to go ahead and go to this college. What do y'all think about the one and done rule, especially when it pertains to Holmgren as well as Panchero? Do you think they're ready?
I'm gonna tell you right now. I posted early this morning as soon as I saw it. I don't like it. I definitely think that it kind of goes back to, your education is priceless. It's something that you can't. No one can take your education away from you. No matter how much money you make, you still have your education. I don't think he's ready. The skinny guy. I think he needs to develop a lot more. And the problem is everyone's like, hey, take the money now. You take the money now and you get paid, the money will go away. There's a limit to how much money you have. But if you get your education, continue to develop your body, obviously they say he's between 1 and 5 in the draft, but he could easily be a top 3 draft round pick in the next 2 years if he develops his body. No one cares. It's not about necessarily winning the NCAA championship. It's about staying in college, getting your education, and developing your body. If you do that, I think it will pay off. And if you get injured, you have your education to fall back on. How many people have gotten injured after 1 year after declaring in the NBA? What are they doing now? I mean, there's a lot of historical data where you can see people that they were projected to go top 3. They got injured. I mean, and what are they doing? I mean, look at Zion Wilson, and that's down in your area, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He's injury prone and plagued right now. And I hope that young man has a fallback, because nobody cares about him after he can't play basketball anymore. And that's just the sad truth.
Mr. Myers, I'm gonna be the devil's advocate on that real quick, because I understand, and I'm sure we can allow everyone else an opportunity to answer that same question. But let me ask you this. Let me put it into you like this. What if you come into a player like, say, Vince Carter? Vince Carter went back and got his degree years later. Years later. There's plenty of professional basketball players that don't finish their college education and later goes back and finishes up their education to receive their degree. We all know it was a big thing because Vince Carter left during, I think, the playoffs one year, so he could go walk the stage. So what do you say about that? Where players can actually, because I totally agree with you. I understand what you're saying when you're saying education is everything. I get it. I do believe in that. 100, absolutely. But we all know, to these young men, being in the NBA is the ultimate goal. Their ultimate goal is to someday play in the NBA. Those chances or those windows are very, very small. So I get where you're coming from, but there are those chances where if you do return back to your school, there's a possibility of what? Injuries? Injury that could plague you for not even being able, maybe even from dropping from what you said, one gentleman is between the top 5 picks. He goes back, say he does go back to school, and he gets injured. Now he drops from even the first round, maybe possibly. What do you say about things about like that, Commissioner?
What I would tell you is this: once you get in the NBA, the NBA is doing a lot better at educating these rookie players when they come in. But you're going to have an agent, right? You're going to have a publicist, okay? You're going to get a car. You're going to have you got to find a place to live. You're going to have a house to live in, right? Right. That first year, that you go into the NBA, you're going to start accumulating expenses to people that are not in your immediate circle. You're going to buy your mama a house, okay? So all these different things are going to happen, right? Then you blow your knee out, right? And so at that point in time, you're now a person that a lot of people depend on, and they can't depend on you anymore. And so now you're in a situation where, okay, what do you do? And you're gonna have a girl, shoot, just like Bill Cosby, he took like half. Remember Theo had the money and then he took all of it. He took all the money. He said, I eat bologna and cereal. He said, you're gonna have a girl, he took all of it, right? So the bottom line is that you're gonna accumulate a lot of these expenses. And when your life situation changes and you don't have that skill set anymore, you better have another skill set that's going to make you money. And if you don't have that with education, you're going to be stuck. You're going to be stuck. And I would point to, some of the players in the NBA that have kind of, struggled after they've had life things happen to them. What is it? Delonte
West.
Delonte West.
Okay. But then take a look at what happened to my man from Duke. The guy that got into a motorcycle accident, Jason Williams.
Jason Williams.
Right. Okay. But he had his education. If I'm not mistaken, I think he got his education. I think he played all 4 years at Duke, finished with an NCAA championship. And now he's living a comfortable life. And that's all I'm saying is that you can go for the money now, take it, have a life situation happen to you, and the next thing you know, you're in the Army, okay, or you're selling cars, and that's a true statement.
Jason, yeah, go ahead, Kevin. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to jump in on that because I hear this conversation a whole lot. We do a lot of high school sports, so you hear the conversation about those players that are always next level. And I think right here, they're talking about recruitment is somewhere around in the top 5 or top 10 for top recruits. I've had a chance to see a few a few one and done players, and it seems like the process is flawed with the evaluation of how we're evaluating players from the era before us in basketball and sports, and also the era that we're in right now. The evaluation process is so different. Back, I guess you could say 10, 12 years ago, you're being evaluated for your physical prowess. You're being evaluated on, your ball handling skills, your finesse, if possible, or your grit, and you have players that are set in positions. The NBA is no longer like that. You have the birth of the point forward, and the game looks different. You're taking more 3-point shots than you've ever have in the history of the game. The score is going up. So when we look at the game and we look at how we evaluate, a lot of those kids aren't ready. But the problem is that the game is getting so much younger. Those teams don't want to wait. Those recruits and those they don't want to wait. But here's the real true nature, and I wanted to talk on both sides of this because I do believe it hurts some players and I do believe it helps some players. When we look at the other side of the spectrum, now that NIL, and I know some of y'all might have heard this name, image, and likeness, now that has opened up, this is going to give players, and I'm a very big advocate for it because I believe that a lot of the leagues have made a lot of money off of players for many years, NCAA and the schools and so forth. But what this does now is that it gives the players an opportunity to be able to also go out and get those contracts. So if I need to stay at school for another year and I'm really that good, if I'm really that man that they say I am, and I'm that next guy, I'm going to go ahead and sign a contract with Adidas over here, let everybody wear my shoes for 2-3 years, and then I'm going to go ahead, build up the frenzy like a LeBron, and then I'm going to go to the NFL, the NBA. But the problem is that the people that are evaluating some of these guys, they're not telling them that because the marketability for them is higher than their actual athletic prowess. So I think that's where the lines kind of set. I've gotten a chance to see Markelle Fultz from DeMatha High School here go 1 year in college out. He was the #1 draft pick. A few years before that, no one knew who he was as a sophomore, unless you were on the AAU strip and you watch these things. And we're watching those avidly because really that's where the stars are born. Places like the NBA, places like the D-League. The stars are there. Those guys are all there. But the problem is that they don't have the marketability like some of the other guys. I win a championship, I got marketability. So that's what I just wanted to say on that.
Ron, Jason, what's y'all take on it?
Yeah, I'll jump in here. So there's a couple points. Listening to Mike, listening to Kevin, there's a couple points I wanted to talk on. First, going on what Mike was talking about, I'm just going to say this. One and done is not for everybody. Okay? There are certain players that were good enough to come straight out of high school. You had Kobe Bryant, you had LeBron James, you had Sean Kemp. Okay, those type players, they were good enough. But that is 1% of the population that could do that, okay, or go to college for 1 year. And Zion Williamson, he's dealing with that right now with injuries in New Orleans, okay? But he was still that his athletic ability made him good enough to do that one and done jump, okay? It's not for everybody. All these kids think that they're going to get out there to go do 1 year in college, they're going to jump to the NBA, and they're going to be a success, all right? You got, 28 NBA teams with 12 players each? That's like less than 100 players in the league, okay, on rosters. So, but like Kevin was saying, these guys get pumped up sometimes by these AAU programs, by these sponsors, by, oh, you can go do this. You can go. Look, I'm going to tell you right now, Chet Holmgren, the guy in Gonzaga, bro, his physical ability is not there yet, okay, in my opinion, right? He's big. Yeah, he's skinny than a rail. If he waits a couple years and fills his body out, he'll be a better NBA player and won't end up like a Greg Odom out of Ohio State. Okay, that ended up 1 year, microfracture surgery in his knees, and was done. Develop a couple more years, and then go. But but everybody says it's easy to say that until you're in the seat, right? When you're the one that's got to make the jump, whereas you're the one that's got to pay for your family's bills, when you have all this talent back there. So of course you're going to try to be rushed. But then Kevin brought up NIL, okay? That has been a huge door opener for a lot of these college athletes that would allow them to stay in college a little longer and still make money, okay? There's a couple of college players I know personally that are doing NIL, and they're all over YouTube, they're all over Twitter, they're all over Instagram, they're all over TikTok, and they're making money. There is a 14-year-old girl that's out of Kansas City here by the name of Jada Williams, okay? She's called Lil Bullet. Her dad was a former professional player. He runs Grindhouse Hoops out of Kansas City. She's moved out to California, already signed with UCLA. She's making more money off of NIL right now than she's probably going to make when she goes professional as a female ball player. Okay. She's got hundreds of thousands of dollars in endorsements already. Why? Because her dad's been down that road and he's structured her the right way. And she's making all this money. So it works for some people, but it's not going to work for everybody. So, I mean, that's my take on it.
Okay. That makes sense. And we definitely appreciate everybody's perspective on all of it. It is a very touchy subject when it comes down to it. A lot of fans, of course, want their best NCAA players to go into the league because they want to see them play at the best level that they can play at, which is of course the NBA or NFL, whatever sport it may be. Ron, Professor, do you have it? What's your thoughts about this?
Yeah, I'll be devil's advocate because a lot of different things that we got going on irks me. I'm a big fan of the G League and how far the NBA has come in regards to developing players. What do you guys think about when we talk about the European leagues as something we haven't really hit on? You know, those guys start 11, 12, 13 and become professional athletes for their clubs, make money, develop, and get treated how they're supposed to be to get ready to go to the big leagues. Like a Luka Doncic, that's like the top echelon that you can talk about just because he's been the best so far. But do y'all think that Europeans may do it a little bit better than we do here in America with our leagues?
If I could jump on this one first, I'd like to. So I got a little bit of experience there because I spent 4 years in the Bundesliga in Germany, right around the time that Dirk left to go to Dallas. Okay, so I was in Würzburg right after he left that club team to go to Dallas. So I got a little experience with the Bundesliga in Germany as far as their different divisions, how they develop them players, Rod, how you were talking about they started 12, 13 years old, are playing international basketball then and work their way up to their Division I leagues there and potentially make the jump. The biggest problem I've seen there, and it's gotten a lot better since the early 2000s, is the exposure. That was been the biggest problem from the European leagues, the international leagues, was they weren't really getting the exposure as like they are now to find a Luka Doncic, where they are, to me, another G League. Okay, they always have been the minor leagues of the NBA. Okay, and even if you go back to the days of Petrovic and all that, I mean, the European League has expanded and brought in a lot more NBA players now than it did then. I love how they do their systems over there. You can play for your clubs. You can actually, if your ability is there, you can move up mid-season to a higher level as long as one club pays the other. And it's great exposure. It's great exposure, I think, for those kids that can develop and play at that international level. You know, and now since the NBA has gone more like the international ball, you know, the game fits. It fits for them. So I like it. I love it.
I guess it's kind of like our AAU, but, you know, in America,
exactly.
Get all the money, not the players. I digress.
The one thing I would tell you guys is that it doesn't, you know, life's about the choices and decisions, you know, and you know this kid Chet, he's got a decision to make. He's made his decision that he's going to go and try his shot at playing in the NBA, right? I posted that post about it, and a lot of my players know I used to coach are saying he's going straight to the G League. So he's going to get drafted and go straight to the G League. And so what happens is we gas these guys' heads up. And you know, we're talking about a guy who's going to go in the league and play against Karl Anthony Towns, okay, or Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid is going to eat his freaking lunch. Like he's not. He's no. But I'm just,
is the G League fair to say? Is that an alternative then? Maybe okay. You come out of college, you go to the NBA, but instead of going directly to the NBA, you go to the G League. Is that an alternative maybe for you?
I think it would be. I think it's an alternative, but that's not the way the system is set up. It's like he's going to get drafted by an NBA professional team. Then they're going to work him out. He's going to go to the combine. They're going to find out just exactly what this guy needs, and he's going to need to eat a whole bunch of protein shakes and gain about 40 or 50 pounds So just so that he can compete. I mean, we're talking about the National Basketball Association.
Right.
Like one in like millions of people get selected to play at that level.
Right.
You got Kobe Bryant and LeBron James. And you could even argue that Zion Wilson was, I even was an advocate for Zion because, I mean, the guy was a phenomenal dude. He was what he was doing before he got injured. But what Zion showed everybody in the world was once you get injured, nobody cares about you.
You're irrelevant.
You are irrelevant. They're looking for someone else to come in and replace you. And if you don't know that, I mean, look what happened with Bo Jackson. Look what happened. He had to become a full-time baseball player off of one long run that he did. Once you get injured, you better have a plan B. And if you don't have a plan B, then your plan A might be relooked at.
Got you. Kevin, your thoughts on the what Professor said about the overseas leagues starting at a young age?
Yeah, I think one thing when I look at sports in America, I have to look at also the education system, because notice how we're talking about our sports funneling from an educational institutions that are already kind of making the monies to fund and push everything that's happening, as opposed to overseas where we're looking at the education system where, and some of you guys that's been deployed in some different countries can also be attest to some of this. Some of even in the Asian countries, some of them don't do 5 days a week of school. So, and you don't go to school like it's a babysitter, like your school is a babysitter. So those are some things that you see differently in, like, I guess, the American education system versus maybe a foreign system that has a sports makeup to it. Those kids have the time to go ahead and pursue a career in this type of thing, because the system here is kind of set up to where you go through the ranks, and it's nothing wrong with that. I think it's just depending on, okay, are you looking at it as in, like we talked about, how many people can see this, what type of people are looking at it, or are we looking at it as in, okay, you're here in America, you're already here, and you have the opportunity. If you go through these levels, you'll get there. But if you try to jump this level here, it might not necessarily work for you. And it's how it is in the game of sports. Like you said, everybody is not destined to be a one and done player. I don't think everybody's destined to go straight to the league. I mean, you look at guys like Shaquille O'Neal. Like, Shaquille could have probably went straight to the league. You watch guys that pass the opportunity up because they realize that the European ball and the ball that we play here, there's a lot of similarities in the AAU, like we talked about. But the one thing that we always see is that we see that these two entities are funneling out to making sure that guys are becoming superstars in a sports avenue, no matter what. That's the whole point. And at the end of the day, leagues and so forth, commercial sponsors, all they are worried about is, are you marketable as an athlete? If you're marketable, you don't have to be that good. We can name a bunch of players that weren't that good, but they were very marketable for the league, very marketable for their teams, and that's what it's about in this basketball generation that we're in. The players that are the most marketable. And Europe has them.
They do.
Yeah,
they do.
Clearly.
They do. They really do.
Built differently. So, of course, a couple of conversations we had, as we know, we had a slate of 3 games last night. Gentlemen, what was the most interesting game? So I can see where we want to start. A panel's choice. What was the most interesting game last night to y'all?
Oh, the Minnesota game, of course.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's get it then. Of course, the Minnesota Grizzlies plays host to the Minnesota Timberwolves played host to the Memphis Grizzlies last night, and it wasn't what we thought. How the game went wouldn't be the way you expect it to go, unless you are team Memphis last night, winning 104-95 in not one but 2 20-point deficits overcomes. Of course, when you look at it, Timberwolves were led by D'Angelo Russell's 22 points, 5 rebounds, and 8 assists, 19 points from Anthony Edwards, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 14 points from Patrick Beverly. Interestingly enough, that's been the highest he scored all series. 11 points from Malik Beasley. Karl Anthony Towns, 8 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. The Grizzlies led by Desmond Baines, 26 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 20 points from Brandon Clark off the bench, 11 points by Tyus Jones, 11 points. Dylan Brooks, Ja with his first triple-double in Memphis basketball playoff history, 16 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists. This really doesn't tell the story, gentlemen. What do you think is the debacle for the Timberwolves? 26-point lead loss, 23-point lead loss, 21-4 closeout in the fourth quarter. Let's talk about it.
Minnesota got the big head, and they thought they was going to run through Memphis. That's all it was, in my opinion.
The NBA is about a game of runs, right? Always has been, right? And it just so happened that Memphis went on a run, and Minnesota couldn't stop it. Call it coaching, call it players, call it what you want, depending on how you want to look at it. Memphis went on, not like you said, one, but 2 runs that was able to make a comeback, right? And Minnesota couldn't stop them, even at home, even with the players they had. Their marquee players weren't on. They couldn't stop the bleeding. And we've seen this happen before in the playoffs. Sometimes it's been in game, sometimes it's been games with teams down 3-0. Make that run and come back and win the series. This just happened to be 2 20-point runs in one game. But I mean, Minnesota, honestly, you got to shake it off. You gave one up at home. You gave up home court. You got to scratch, scraw, and fight now to get another one back. And that's it. You can't harp on what happened last night. It's done. It's done. You came out. You blew it. You just got to get one back now. That's all they can do.
So Kevin, we just heard Jason said, "Hey, you need to shake it off." Do you think that's one to shake it off? Do y'all think? Of course, I'm pointing towards Kevin, but of course, anyone after him. Is it done? Is that blow to where it's like, you know what, man, we are completely inadequate? But Kevin, what do you think, sir?
It's a shake off. They got to definitely shake it off. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? But one thing that I noticed that when I'm looking at when I look at teams that are supposed to win that are not winning, and I look at, as a coach, I look at rebounds and I look at turnovers. And what I noticed is that even in the rebounding sector of both of this game last night, you can see the Timberwolves only really had one guy that was really doing the bulk of the work in rebounds. Teams that rebound well all around, they're always going to get more possession, which means they're going to get more shot selections. Second quarter, fourth quarter, they only scored 12 points. So that's what I see. That's what it looks like to me. It's a corrective thing for coaching. They can go back, fix it, tweak it, and make it work again. But it's definitely a smack in the face, kind of got to shake it off and keep it moving.
So y'all believe in that short-term memory when it comes to being on the court and taking an L like that? You got to have that short-term memory and move past it, let the past be the past, even though it's just recent.
I was about to ask Coach Myers, what do you do in that aspect when your team just lost 2, not 1, but 2 20-point leads, and then get throttled with a 20-point 18-point outscore in the final minutes, and you got to go see them again?
It's funny you asked me that because Jason can tell you that's exactly what happened to us in the Western Conference Finals last year. We were beating Fort Worth by over 20. We were beating Fort Hood by 15 or 16. And the guys, part of our development last year was we would have leads, and people knew that we would give them up. Oklahoma City, OKC was another one out in Vegas. This is prime time, and we needed we ended up losing 3 games out there. And so it was about it. Some of it is coaching, because you have to recognize what's happening when teams are going on a run, and then you better have a game plan, and you go to your best player, best play to stop the bleeding. And then so that some of it's me, and then some of it is the team. They've got to realize that getting over the hump is mental. And if you're a team that allows other teams to come back down the stretch, you correct that by putting yourself in situational basketball in practice. And so you give a team, you say, hey, okay, we're up 20 points. Are we playing not to lose, or are we playing to win? And so I always play to win. Sometimes you've got to take risk when you're ahead. That's why you see coaches do some boneheaded things sometimes where, they go for 2 when they don't have to, because they understand what's at risk here. And just to make a football analogy, they do something that's going to like put another team away where it's just impossible for them to win. If you're ahead by 4 points with 30 seconds left in the game, as a coach, you should not lose that basketball game. It's a 2
In other words, finishing.
You got to finish. Yeah, absolutely. Got to finish.
So, go ahead, Jason. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, you to caveat what Mike said, you go to your best player, you go to your best play. Look it up because I know you have it right there. What does Karl Anthony Towns average for the season? 20-something a game?
Yeah, 24 points, I want to say. 24 points a game. And I was just about to
24 points a game.
Right. Jason and Mike, I was just about to ask
you. How many points did you have last night?
8. Yeah, 8. That's what I was about to ask you. Mike and Jason, how do you go to your star player when your star player is not producing?
That's my point. That's my point. You got a guy that averaged 24 a game, and he could not step up, as like Mike said, and be the best player for Minnesota last night. He had 8 points for the game. That's one third of your season total that you average. Right. And I think that's why they couldn't stop the bleeding. That nobody else was able to step up in his absence and fill that role for the coach to go to the best player and the best play to stop the bleeding and stop those runs. And that's why I think they lost the game.
It's gut wrenching. I know to see the look on the look on their face. Like you seen, did you do in the press conference? Did you see the look on Karl Anthony Towns' face? He was like,
he said he was going to go home and drink some wine. That's it, and reboot and decompress, bruh. Oh, wow. You need to do something.
The look on his face.
But you just get back to it, man. You don't listen. The game is over.
It's one game.
It's one game, but yeah, they lost 2 20-point games?
Yeah, not in the same game.
Yeah, but the bottom line is it's one game, and
true that.
You look. It's not a fluke unless you make it one. I mean, unless it's not a pattern unless you make it a pattern. I mean, you just got to get out there and get the guys back to playing basketball again, and don't sweat it. I mean, that's not nothing. There's nothing you can do at this point in time to interject or change the outcome of what happened last night. All you can do is be prepared for what's about to happen tomorrow or the next day, whenever you're going to be playing. If you don't have that mindset, you're done.
I think some of it also comes back. I would think that
Minnesota bounce back from that. Can they bounce back?
I would think they could, Bishop, but I think it also comes from, like, as we hear, everyone on this panel are not millennials, and the people who are talking about are millennials, and the bravado and all the trash talking and the sideways talk, and then you come to get smacked and drug up and down your own court. You got to eat that, and I don't think that humbling moment is something which they wasn't ready for. Like y'all was saying, of course, we look at it like, okay, the idea is like, okay. It's a loss, it's a win. But then when you come back, it's like, but for them, when you've been talking, and now you got to hear Ja talking about it's going, you know what I'm saying? They disrespectful, I'm going to be disrespectful. And all that
Minnesota now.
Yeah,
that's what he said.
And he heard that, and he heard that soundbite. So it's like you over there talking, Beverly, you got to humble. It's all a humble experience. And the only person that I think that's some of the issue, especially now in this day and age when we're talking about playing ball. So
I'll say this. Whether you lose that game by 20 or you lose that game by 1 on a Ja Morant half-court shot, it's still a L. It's the only one game, like Mike said. You got to pick yourself up and move on in the series, man. No. I mean, it doesn't matter how you lost. It's only one game. Minnesota's not out of it. They just got to hold home court from here on in. You can't lose this next game. You can't go down 3-1 and lose both games on your home floor and dig yourself that hole. But if you can get the W in the next game, now you're back at 2-2, and it's a whole new series. That's all it is.
Of course. Go ahead. So of course, one of the other games they played last night, the Dallas Mavericks winning 126-118 over the Utah Jazz in Utah. Of course, led by Donovan Mitchell, 32 points, 2 rebounds, to 6 assists, 24 points, 6 assists, 24 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists from Bogdanovich, 21 points from Mike Conley, 14 from Jordan Clarkson. It wasn't enough to control the bleeding, as we've been saying. Jalen Brunson, 31 points, 5 assists, 1 rebound, 17 from Maxi Kleber, hot hand from beyond the arc, 12 points from Reggie Bullock, Dorian Finney-Smith, 12 points, 15 points from Davis Bertrand, Josh Green, 12 points. It was coming from everywhere. I know, Ron, we have always talked about how this is Luka's team. What do we have to say about Spencer Dinwiddie, who scored 20 last night, and as well as Jalen Brunson, who this is a contract year? Are you trying to recruit him to Philly next year? What's good?
Spencer Dinwiddie can always come to my squad. Mike, that's y'all guy. Y'all had to give up Spencer Dinwiddie for Porzingis. It might have been a very bad trade, but I'm loving how them boys are playing, man. I think this says more about the Jazz, though.
What we talking about the Jazz? What does it say about the Jazz? You think they wasn't ready? They wasn't built for this.
Where's the button? Somebody press blow it up. At least Rudy
behind Donovan Mitchell. That's what they had. That's all that showed up last night.
Right.
Dallas had it from everywhere, and you didn't even really hear Luka last night. You just said, Trey, it was everybody else on Dallas. Jason Kidd was able to sit back and watch the show. Everybody showed up for Dallas last night, and Donovan Mitchell was the only one that showed up in Utah. Rudy Gobert, the only thing I think I saw him on ESPN last night was when he got dunked on. That was it. Where you at, bro? I mean, Dallas just had too many guns last night for them. Didn't matter where they played. They could have played that thing in the parking lot. It wouldn't have mattered.
So, do y'all think for this series? Do you think Luka needs to come back, or should they just go ahead and let rest in the series, or is it too early?
If they playing like that, they don't need him to come back. If everybody else on that team, if the other 11 on that team could step up and perform like they did last night, Luka can sit out all the way to the Western Conference Finals.
That'd be great for morale.
I'm resting.
So before we go into the next game, of course, we want to have a quick conversation and talk about. So as we know, the NBA the regular season has completed, and we're basically in getting ready to go into you all's playoff mode. What is that going to be like? What is it that we can expect? What is it that we can talk about? Matter of fact, hold on, let's bring it up. First, of course, we have the conferences that we're going to be enduring. And then after the conference play, we have, of course, the championship. Let's talk about that for briefly.
So, hold on. I'll say this first. We not done quite yet with the regular season.
Okay.
A lot of teams have closed out their regular season games, and I know Fort Polk is one of them, and they sitting back with that 12-4 record, chomping at the bit, waiting to go to the Western Conference Finals. But we still got games going on this weekend in the Central in Cannon, okay? And we still got games. It was at Cannon and at Scott Air Force Base this weekend for the Central. So after this weekend, they'll close the Central out, and the Pac West still has one weekend lingering out there that we're trying to reschedule due to mission and due to a couple other things. But for the most part, the conferences are pretty much closed out for a lot of teams, and teams have solidified their positions to the Western and the Eastern Conference Finals. So I just wanted to say that. But if Mike wants to go ahead from here, I'll let him go ahead.
No, I know I gotta head down to Carson real quick, but I just want to say, no Stradamus.
I'm here, sir.
I really thank you for having our guys on. I definitely want to make sure when I step off, you just give Kevin a chance, because he's going to be highlighting a lot of these military athletes. But what you can expect to see this year on the NBA side is just high-level basketball from military athletes. I mean, we've had last-second shots, game winners at the finals, at the Western Conference Finals. we've had some spectacular dunks. And so what's going to be different about this year is that we're going to be able to capture those things professionally with RSN Sports. And so what I look forward to is the aftermath, getting some of the athletes, actually even the hype and the buildup. And I know we've talked about this, getting some of the coaches on. I'm looking forward to seeing Fort Polk, in next weekend, because I think we face them first. And so
at the Military National,
I'm looking forward to a lot of that stuff at Nationals, and I just appreciate this platform that you guys have, and I'm always welcome or always willing to come on to your show and bring my team on and talk a little bit about what we're doing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Of course, we'll do that. Of course, we're going as we go on. We'll be able to get touch bases with Kevin, continue with Jason. So yes, sir, we greatly appreciate you being on. You got to get to business, to the things that pay the bills.
Range, yep.
Yeah. We greatly appreciate you coming on, sir. And of course, we'll be in touch and talk.
Yep. Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, Mike.
Yep. Thanks, Kevin.
Well, now that Mike stepped off, I guess I can keep you on as far as what you were talking about as far as the playoffs go. So as you just had up there, Trey, we got the Eastern and we got the Western Conference Finals. So we took the three conferences that we had. Everybody jockeyed for the positions, and pretty much we're going to take the top 12 that go to the East and the top 12 to go to the West. Both tournaments are going to be something else. I mean, last year when we did this for the first time, we added that extra layer in. Instead of going for the conferences and just selecting teams for the NBA Finals, this platform allows these teams to work their way to the NBA Finals through a playoff system. So it's not based off rankings. It's not based off points. It's based off of what did you do on the floor. Okay? So by where they played the regular season, earned them their spots here for the playoffs. And then from those top 12 in each East and the West, we pare down to the top 8 each, which gives us our 16 teams for the NBA Finals. So, I mean, I'm just excited about it. The fact that we, like Mike said, and bringing Kevin in with RSN Sports, we're going to be able to broadcast on both locations, from Vegas and from Alabama this year. It gives the opportunity for these players to get exposure, whether it's on the collegiate level, whether it's on the international level, because a lot of these guys have already played their college ball and might be getting out of the military soon and might need that exposure to go play overseas. A lot of these colleges are more now looking at the NBA as another vehicle to get more experienced older players in the college. So, Kevin and RSN helps us do that by getting this exposure out there. So I'm just excited for it.
Okay, matter of fact, Kevin, you got the floor. How is this going to happen? Without giving us too much, how is this going to happen? How are you going to make all this happen and doing this? Two coasts, West Coast, Las Vegas, Phoenix City, and Alabama. What's this going to look like? What can we say to the people that are watching so they'll be able to catch this as well if they can't be in those areas?
Okay, yeah, most definitely. So the way it's going to work is we're going to have this multicasted. So it'll be on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. There'll be multiple ways to get to it. It'll also be archived. So those games that happened the day before, they'll be archived on the site of Military Basketball's choosing, and then also a few other outlets so that we can stretch it and make sure that anybody that wants to see it can see it and get to it from anywhere. We're going to have two crews basically going in two different directions. One will be in Vegas and one will be in Alabama. We've been doing logistics meetings all week about it because, it's Memorial Day weekend and the travel is crazy. So, it's one of those things where it takes a lot. But the good thing about it is that we operated in multiple states before. We do a lot of stuff with, you probably heard of companies like Baller TV and so forth, where we've been able to pull off broadcasts that have 100 volleyball courts all streaming at one time. So we're very tuned to do it. But these are the technologies that I was talking about that are allowing small companies to now do what the large, big box companies do, So we're just glad that we're the ones that are able to bring it to Military Basketball Association so that they can make it their own. They can custom make this experience everything they want it to be, and then some, and hopefully somebody will pick it up like an ESPN or somebody one day,
Yeah. All willing, of course. Yeah, that's a grand thing. Of course, if I'm not able to get down to Las Vegas, I'll be watching and cheering from the sideline for Fort Polk via whatever streams there is. So that way.
Yeah, we'd love to have you guys come and maybe do a show at halftime. That would be great. Come down at halftime, jump right on, do a little
Look
bit of
at Ron,
stuff.
Bishop.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And Marjorie got a train ticket
all
from
for it.
Alaska to Vegas. He ready.
See, well, y'all know Bishop. I don't want to put his business out, but it's supposedly it's a rumor that Bishop has never been to Las Vegas, and supposedly he's
That's
supposed
not
to
a
be
rumor.
going.
That's true.
Oh, okay. See,
That's true. That is not a
so,
rumor. That is definitely true. But I'm about to take that trip to Vegas here in June anyway.
oh,
For the
okay.
very
See,
first time. So I'll be out there in June.
don't do anything that you wouldn't have
Hey,
your
what happens in
old
Vegas
soldiers
stays in
do.
Vegas.
Yeah, don't do
What
nothing you
happens
wouldn't
in
have your
Vegas
old
stays in
soldiers do.
Yeah.
So one more game last night, as we know. Actually, who was the game last night?
It was not a game. It was the Golden State game.
Yeah,
That's a 3-0 series. Write that one off. He's done.
Yeah.
You don't even need to talk about it, Trey. That series is over.
That's like
It's
the
dead.
That's hit the button right there. You got to hit the button.
Blow it up.
Yeah, I said that's like the 76ers game. That series is over.
I'd rather talk about the Boston Nets game for the night before than talk about the Golden State game.
Actually, I wanted to talk about Ron is our resident Phillies fan. Him and Key. Ron, what is up? Embiid with the ball in his hand, the last shot was that payback for Kawhi, who's now out? Like, when did we start? When did we start allowing 7 foot of centers that don't
take the winning shot?
Shot at the 3-pointer? What's up, Ron? You have the floor, Ron.
They started developing movesets like the great Kobe Bryant.
Not only that though. Hold on. This part, Ron. The fact of the matter that the coach called the play for him. He called the play for Embiid to take this shot. Like, seriously,
you gotta love it. That's what I've been telling everybody. James Harden is James Harden that. He always chokes. He's not gonna be bad. I'm like, guess what? This ain't James Harden's team. We have Embiid, the most dominant player in the NBA. I didn't say the best, but he's definitely our MVP. And this is what he does. And I love the fact that his team, he can rely on him to take pressure and he can close the game out. My favorite part of the game is our favorite Toronto Raptor, Drake Aubrey Graham, was seen celebrating and walking out with the Sixers. Come on, Drake. You just left the Toronto Raptors like that just because we came and did work. You let me see it. I literally, every sports caster that I listened to was telling me how Toronto Raptors was going to beat the Sixers, and now we just have the easy road to the NBA Finals. It's going to be a great year. A great year.
Oh, Ron, man. Hey, I gotta say, I will say that I was not expecting. And it was the identical shot in which he took prior to the end of the game, and he missed it. And to go back and have the confidence in yourself to say, okay, I missed that one, but I guarantee I can knock down the second one. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. Tyrese Maxey to the Lakers. What?
Hey.
Stop it, bro.
Hey.
Stop it. Tyrese is good where he at, I think. I think he's good out there in Philly. I think he's good where he's at, man. I'm going to be honest with you. That was a good game. Y'all know I'm a Brooklyn Nets fan, so I'm looking forward to the night. We definitely got to bounce back. I know I heard Jason and Kevin talking about how Big Cat didn't show up. How Big Cat didn't show up. Well, I feel the same thing about KD. I need him to show up. I don't know if he's on vacation early. But I need him to show up.
I'll tell you this, since you brought up the Nets. Yeah, since you brought up the Nets, the difference between KD though and Big Cat was they took the ball away from KD. Boston pretty much put 2 on him and made somebody else do it.
Win the game.
That wasn't the situation in Minnesota, but you're right. KD needs to find it. KD needs to find it because Kyrie's not going to do it on his own. I'm sorry.
That's the issue.
And Boston is a hell of a defensive team, and they are finding ways to shut KD down and to limit him, okay, because you can't really shut him down, the Slim Reaper. But you can limit him and make Kyrie be the man, and then, hey, Spencer Dinwiddie ain't walking through that door no more, y'all. He gone. They got who else they got?
Well, that's what Seth and Patty Mills need to step up, to step their game up. We've got Seth for that reason. I'm hoping Ben comes in game 4 and be able to make a difference. I feel you. I see you, Anthony. That's why.
Hey, I can win the lottery too. I'm sorry, Ben is not the answer to your prayers for this season.
So listen, this is the thing, Jason. I agree with you. He's not the answer, but he is a part of the equation. So
Sure.
I feel like if Ben could come in and probably put some Bishop, if it's not Lou, next Lou will go. I got you, bro. I got you, Don. But I'm just saying, if Ben can just come in and put some pressure, because we know if Ben comes back, he's gonna be limited on time. We know that for sure. He's gonna be limited on time. But the time in which he's in, put him on Jason. Put him on Jason.
Yeah, no. I agree. So again, we got to remember these are all NBA players, regardless of how you look at it, right? But I'm gonna need Ben to hit a 12-footer because they're not gonna let him get to the lane. Okay, Boston is not gonna let him. He's not gonna let him get to the rack.
Right.
Okay, and that's his effectiveness. If they're able to lay off him and he can't hit a shot, he might as well go right on back to the offseason. Ben Simmons is there for a reason, but it's going to be tough if he can only hit layups.
That's true. I totally agree with you. But
you know what I'm
thinking? I feel like if Ben is in the lineup, though, I feel like you cannot necessarily double team KD, though. Even you can't double team KD if Ben is in the lineup. What you was about to say, Kevin?
I was thinking to myself that, I've heard the whole Ben Simmons scenario. It almost feels like he's still kind of in his head with a lot of stuff too. You know what I mean? So I'm hoping that when he comes in, because I really would love to see KD, get a ring. I would really love to see KD back in DC though. But I mean, that's here and there. That's not gonna happen. We've already given that.
It all comes out. It all comes out.
but maybe this is the path back. I don't know. You lose so much with them. We got a team we're building over here. But either way, like I was saying, I just believe that Ben Simmons. I believe that Ben Simmons. He's a great player and he's a great body. But the thing is that he's gonna have to revolve. Like you said, he's got to figure a way to get just good enough to be able to hit those shots. Teams. He doesn't need to be a world beater. He just needs to be that guy that can play his position and play defense. That's if he doesn't play defense, that whole deal is a sham. Because going down the stretch, defense wins games. Bottom line. And if you got a KD is going to have to fight these dudes like a boxer that decides, look, I'm not going to be worried about technique. I'm just going to have to throw haymakers. That's what KD's going to have to do. He's going to have to come out there and play them with all his might, and hopefully he doesn't get hurt. But that's the road for these two, But I'm telling you, the Nets, I like the way they've been put together. I just think that a lot of those guys are in their heads right now. It's just so much going on. The media's on them. You got Kyrie with it. It's just so much.
Well, that's what happens when you play in Brooklyn.
Yes, sir.
The media there is unrelentless. Is relentless. It's like you're going to be on. They're going to be on you. Yeah. If you don't perform. I saw someone say today. As far as they were talking about if LeBron had the performance that Big Cat did, it'd have been all over. They'd be on him like white on right.
Yeah,
And I'm not.
They said that
I'm
about
not trying
KD
to bring the
too. They
Lakers.
said why ain't nobody doing that with KD too? They said the same thing with KD when he had a bad game. Yeah.
But I think with those guys, they've iced games so much. It's like you just seen them in their bad moments. But I mean, come on, we got to go back to championships, past where we've seen KD come out and flame throw and literally like, oh, we didn't expect that to happen and win the game and take guys to the championship and go home with the trophy. So it's a little different when Cat does it than when LeBron does it and KD, because these guys, they almost have the turn it on factor. You know what I mean? But, I'm not saying that Cat doesn't have that X factor. He does, but it's just, he doesn't have like he doesn't have the experience underneath him, I guess is what I'm saying to these other guys.
He don't have that killer instinct. I don't think he has the killer instinct like LeBron and like KD.
He doesn't. And KD just barely got it. You know what I mean? He just barely got. I think he had to go through the Warriors to really get that killer instinct, really. So it's a progression for him. Hopefully it lands in back here in DC.
Hey, I'll just ask this question. So was the Bucks loss a fluke to the Bulls, or is that something that we can see going forward? Chicago might knock Milwaukee out.
I think from my standpoint, of course, I'm standing up. DeMar DeRozan, Hub City, stand up. So what I believe is that now, of course, with Chris Middleton out, and if you haven't been paying attention, in the last 95 games, the Bucks are 46 and 49 without Middleton. So now without Middleton, you have a problem. And I think the Bucks, I think Chicago has enough to where they can basically put it to where they're in position now to impose their will, as long as DeMar is still getting 25 points, Levine is getting his, and then they have those people that kind of like fall in from that point. So that's my take on it.
I'm glad you said that, Trey, because to me, it hasn't been Giannis for the Bucks. Yeah, of course, everybody sees Giannis MVP. He's improved his game over the last 4 or 5 years. Great. It's been Chris Middleton. Middleton has been the linchpin to that team. He's your mid-range guy. He's your guy that, I mean, last year, even in the finals last year, it was Middleton taking the shots, not Giannis at the end of games. You know, without him, that's a whole different team. Different team.
So Jason, Trey, y'all mean to tell me, so y'all are saying right now, and anybody else, Kevin, y'all saying right now, because of Middleton going down, the Milwaukee Bucks will not win this series versus Chicago?
I will tell you this. With what Chicago has, like Trey just said, there is a strong possibility that Milwaukee will lose this series to Chicago. Yes.
I believe it's Chicago's series to lose.
It is.
That's what I believe. I believe it's Chicago's series to lose, and it's Milwaukee's series to win. So they have to play just like that for either of them to come out.
Okay. That's what you two, Professor. You feel like this is Milwaukee's series to win and Chicago's series to lose? Now that Middleton is out?
Definitely. Middleton's a big key to Milwaukee.
I agree. Totally agree.
It's kind of like when at Golden State, not Steph.
Draymond?
Well, no, not Draymond. Clay. When Clay went down.
Mm-hmm.
Your second best scorer, the guy you go to behind your number one guy, goes down. It's now Giannis has all that extra on him, on top of it. The floor closes up a little more.
But Jason, with Clay going down, the emergence of Jordan Poole came into play. Now he was the one who started becoming the guy.
Okay, so that's a great question. Who steps up in Milwaukee?
That is the question. That is the question right there.
And Ron, I seen the look on your face. Whose turn is it in Milwaukee, or is it over from Milwaukee, as you was about to say?
I feel like Milwaukee only loses this series if DeMar DeRozan becomes better. Giannis, which he did. He dropped 40 the other night. He's going to need to have at least 2 more 40-point games, and that would only be 3 wins. We're going to have to see a lot from Levine as well.
Give me Bucks and 7. Ron, you saying DeMar DeRozan needs to have a night like the other night for them to win this series?
He said 3 nights. That's hella fine.
Pretty much 3 nights, yeah.
1,000%. But even without Middleton, the Bucks are still going to be great at stretching the floor. They got one of my favorite centers, Lopez, who can just stand out in the corner, corner 3, and defend the paint on D. They're still going to be hard to score at, and I'm pretty sure Giannis has that. We were talking about the killer mentality. He's not going to tuck into his turtle shell just because he lost his second man running mate. You're going to have to bring it at him to make sure he does not advance. And I don't feel like the Bulls have that mentality. But I haven't been on the Bulls all season.
And now that you say that, I don't know, y'all guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but if anyone picked up that killer mentality mindset from Kobe, Giannis picked it up without a doubt, and is flourishing in it as well.
He definitely has a tendency to take over a game when he wants to. He definitely has that capability.
But I think the Bucks stops here. I think it ends in. It ends against Chicago.
But Professor made some great points, though. He did. He made some great points. The series is going to be interesting.
I'll say this: if Chicago goes and looks at what Boston did to KD, and you can take the ball or limit Giannis.
Oh yeah,
they win it in 6.
Yeah.
Right.
They can duplicate what Boston did to KD and the Nets. Okay, and Billy Donovan is no slouch. So that's just me looking at it. If you can limit Giannis,
I think that's a good
story.
That is a good point. But can they do that? Like when we talk about KD and Giannis,
we don't know.
Yeah, Giannis has a different mentality than
Sure.
KD. Of course, KD we know is like one of the most prolific scorers in the NBA right now. But Giannis has that different mentality to where if you get up in Giannis's chest, he'll be one of those to make 2 or 3 charges because he's going to go at you. KD, however, relented and rescinded back. You got up in his. He seemingly got a little flustered, as you know. Like I said yesterday, they used that bad boy mentality against him via Saoirse Jordan, and it showed that he wasn't ready. I don't know if Chicago has that, and we're talking about a top defense in Boston too. So, but I mean, like you said, it may work or it can be productive. I guess I'd like to see it. As we said,
it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, but so question. I have a question going back to. I know we said the series kind of like over in Denver and Golden State, but is this about Denver or are we talking about Denver or are we talking about Golden State? Because I see
Denver's
Golden State
done.
put up 3-player. Clay had 26. Poole, as they call Poole Party, had 27. Steph Curry 27.
No, Applewhite said it best yesterday.
Well, I'm talking about that's he called him Splash Pool, but on something I came across this morning, they was calling him Pool. They called him the Pool Party. So, is this more about Golden State emerging or Denver regressing?
Let me give my thoughts really quick because know I hated when Clay came back originally because he took his starting spot back from Poole and that messed up his whole chemistry. And he should have been winning a lot of awards here at the end of the season, but he fell off a little bit. Last night, Steph Curry comes off the bench, letting Poole start again. I don't really know why that happened, why Kerr made that decision, but it just makes me love Steph more. He's the most humblest, loving superstar we've ever seen in a playoff game. One of the greatest point guards, top 3 we've ever seen, maybe top 5, my bad. And he comes off the bench.
I mean, when you're putting up the numbers in which you're putting up off the bench, he scored 70-something points in 2 games coming off the bench.
Like less than 25 minutes.
Yes, that part. But when you're a coach, and he does that the first game, excuse me, and then you say, I mean, I'm just thinking to myself because I've coached a few times before, and I'm thinking to myself, damn, that worked. Let's try that again, game. Let's try this again for the next game to see how it plays out again.
It makes me look forward to the 40-year-old Steph that's going to
be that part.
That's Steph Curry. He don't need a lot of time to cook it up.
That's it.
Okay? You can limit Steph to 15 minutes a game and they'll still drop 22 on you. It don't matter. It don't matter. But hey, to answer what you were saying, Trey, I think it's actually a little of both. I think it is the reemergence of Golden State with Jordan Poole, okay? But like someone commented here, Jokic is by himself, and he's mad as hell, okay? I just don't think Denver has the firepower, and Golden State's on the upswing, and Denver's on the downswing this year, and it's a perfect series for Golden State to get a couple dubs and move on and rest for the next series.
Thanks. I mean, I totally agree.
Kudos to a player coach too.
That's 2 series that's gonna be over with, man. The 76ers series and the Golden State series.
I thought he was the MVP, Bishop.
You know what? I knew it was coming. I was trying to beat him to the point. I was trying to beat him to the point, but Bishop slid in there. I was trying to beat him to the point because I've said that I think Jokic is the MVP. Of course.
Because that part, Professor.
The MVP because he's doing less. But from what Jason just said, that goes to what I've been talking about. He's doing a lot more with a lot less, and it's showing. Like he can't. I mean, he can't galvanize his troops.
Shouldn't the Joker be able to win one game? One game, Trey.
Himself in the NBA playoffs.
against Golden State,
hold on. So here's what you're asking the man to do. You're asking Jokic to pretty much put up 75. That's the only way against Golden State that Jokic is going to win one game. Okay? I mean, yes, I agree. The man is probably the MVP because he is the most valuable player, but he's not the most valuable team. That's why basketball is a 5-man game, not a 1-man game. It ain't bowling and it ain't golf.
Perfect point right there. And that's where I segue on that, because like when you think about that, being a 5-man, like the way this game is designed today, it's almost like we came out of an era where you were playing a 5-man and then you deduced it to a super 3 or a monster 2 or a lockdown 1, and now you see how it looks. But I will say that the Warriors have a formula, and it really was the formula that LeBron started when he was over in, I think it was when he was actually in Miami. That was the formula. And the formula actually is not having all the stars on the same team. You got to have those people that are willing to play both sides of the court.
Role players.
Hold on, Kevin.
Know your role.
Be role players.
Hold on, Kevin. That formula, why isn't that formula working in LA?
It's not working in LA anymore because LA, what they chose to do is they chose to basically pick guys that thought they were superstars in their right where they were.
Ooh.
I could have told you Westbrook wasn't a superstar before he came to us. We came to the Wizards. And we hated it, every minute of it. The day he got signed here, every single outlet was buzzing. Oh, the guys stats are not this, da-da-da-da. It was horrible from the beginning to the end. So, I mean, I really believe that the guys that they brought together up there, you can't compliment a guy like LeBron. You have to compliment a guy like LeBron with a guy like KD, or you have to compliment him with a guy like that he already had in, well, I don't want to say, maybe some of the former Nets play, the Nets players might not be the best for him, but right now, but I mean, truthfully, in chemistry though, for basketball's sake, it would have worked if everybody was a role player, and that's what you need, role players.
Bishop, I'll say this, Bishop, to answer what you said. The reason it's not working, in my opinion, now, also to add on to what Kevin said, is if you go back to that Miami team and Dwayne Wade gets hurt, or Ray Allen gets hurt, okay, or Bosh gets hurt, right, or sits the games that Anthony Davis is sat, or off like Westbrook has been, I don't think Miami wins the championships they do. Okay, I mean that team was put together solid 3 with a solid role players and was able to win championships. The Lakers don't have the role players that Miami did, or let's just say those roles weren't defined, and their star players can't stay healthy or can't stay on the court. And that's why I think the Lakers aren't where everybody expects them to be right now. I mean, Anthony Davis has missed how many games this year?
Too many.
I wish he would stay in a post. He might not get hurt as much. If that's
that's not the game no more.
Y'all know that part, Jason. That part.
I think that's how he gets hurt.
When you say that, Kevin, we just talked about a 7-footer hitting a 3-pointer for a game winner.
Hey, welcome
to they're taking a higher percentage of 3-pointers. Think about it. If I'm a center and I take 50 and I hit 2 of them, you see what I'm saying? If I take 50 and I hit 2 of them, and those 2, one of them is a game winner, it looks great. If I take 50 and I don't hit nothing but the broadside of a barn, now we got a problem. So I believe that big guys are taking way more, long range shots.
But look at this, Kevin. But look who won the 3-point contest this year.
True.
You feel me?
Again,
the game has changed.
I'm saying what I'm saying by that is that big guys have to become better shooters, long distance, because that is how the NBA is. But by nature and by science, by chemistry, when you're 7'4", 7'5", 6 foot, anything over 5'6", and you now venture out into where Steph Curry is at, and you have to make all those quick movements, and you're not going to last as long. You might not even have as much juice to take those shots in the late game, and we've seen that with LeBron. That's what it is. Now you got to do that late game thing, I mean, some guys are doing it, some guys can't, but I think if you're a big guy and your makeup is that you're supposed to be in the post, you'll be a lot more successful and you'll play a lot more years by staying in that post. And I think that's what's going to happen with all those big guys, right now.
I'll throw another caveat into this with the Lakers, and Don just mentioned it down there in the comments, was about coaching. Okay, you have these role players, you have these superstars, but if you're not managing them the way that you need to take the burden off of your superstars, okay, then like I'm gonna tell you this, Mark Jackson to me is a great pick. I love him as a coach. Okay, he, believe it or not, let's remember, before Kerr came into Golden State, he's the one that formulated that team in Golden State. Okay, Steve Kerr really inherited what Jackson started there. Right. And he hasn't been back in coaching since. You put Mark Jackson as the head coach of the Lakers and give him some ability to choose his role players and what the respect he commands as a coach and a former point guard in his league, I think the Lakers are a different team. So I love it. I think Mark Jackson is the coach of the Lakers.
Players would kill to come play for him. You truly feel that Mark Jackson take the team in which the Lakers are right now and make them a better team? With the players they have with the players.
Because you're talking about injuries. No, because you're talking about injuries and not being on the floor. Okay. But if you give him the team now, I think the Lakers next year are definitely an improvement over what they are this year. I think they definitely make the playing round with Mark Jackson as coach next year, as long as you're able to limit minutes. But see, I don't want to say that goes to coaching, but it kind of goes to coaching. If you're able to limit your stars to injuries and add some of those role players that fit, like they said, like Westbrook did not fit. He's too much of a I need the ball guy. If you were able to put a couple more shooters, rebounders on that Lakers team to go with a AD or LeBron, to me, it complements them better. Chris Birdman in Miami was a great compliment to those three they had there because all he did is go out, play defense, and rebound. Right. But he knew his role. I think Mark Jackson coming in and define those role players better than what they have there currently. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. That's fair. I like it. I know Trey don't probably like it because
somebody in the comments. Look, it's funny because I was wondering if LeBron would sign off on that. Somebody just said that. It's like, the funny thing is that Mark Jackson would be a great, but would LeBron sign off on that? I'm like thinking to myself, would that be, because we all know if LeBron's not signing off on it, it ain't happening. Right. It's just that simple over there,
Well, I think they're at their point now then where Jeannie is probably looking at Rob like, bruh, we ain't been nothing since Magic left. You at the helm now. You asked for this. And so I think now I think they went with, of course, Russell Westbrook was a question that was asked of LeBron, and they probably took in consideration what LeBron wanted as opposed to keeping Caruso, bringing in Buddy, bringing in DeRozan, and they went after Westbrook instead, and that was in some aspect I feel what has been the grumbling that was LeBron, and AD. They asked him, they was like, yeah, do that. Before that, it was about to be DeMar. And so, but I mean, we all know different things. We don't know what that would have looked like if Lamar would have actually been a Laker. Would we still be having this conversation, or would it be a different conversation? Like, I had to trust that Westbrook.
I don't think so. I think DeMar DeRozan is a more complete player than Russell Westbrook. He can facilitate better than Russell Westbrook, and he would have fit in better. Plus, when AD goes down and LeBron takes the night off, look what he's doing in Chicago. He can step up and drop 40. So you can fill those scoring gaps with DeMar DeRozan on the Lakers than you could with a Russell Westbrook, my opinion.
So of course
he's a gap stopper. He can facilitate or score.
Yes, it's ongoing. It's an open source still for me. Of course, we got three games tonight. First one, Miami has an opportunity to extend their lead to a 3-0 lead in the ATL as the Hawks play the host. Who y'all got, Miami or Atlanta tonight?
I got Miami.
I'm taking Atlanta. I'm going with Ice Trae, man. I don't think Ice Trae, I think he's had enough, man. I think he's had enough. It's time. They're going to get this W in ATL tonight, in my opinion.
I think Miami continues to roll. I don't think they're done yet. I think it's time to humble Mr. Ice Tray. I think it's a humbling moment. Uh, I think Miami gets this. Ron, you see how quiet he is, Ron. Usually we talk Ice Tray and then we hear something. You see how
I can't
quiet
say
he
nothing.
is.
I can't say nothing about Ice Tray if they down 2-0 to the Heat. I can't say nothing. I mean, hey, it is what it is. But they are going home, so I'm taking Atlanta.
You know what? At least we can say something that is a lot of those people.
I'll tell you this.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'll tell you this, Trey. So I literally on my drive back the other day went through Atlanta and we stopped and that's all you heard him talking about was Ice Tray. Hey, Trey Young's a bad boy, but he needs some help. Just like we were talking with the other teams, and Miami is a complete team. They showed that in the COVID year when they went to the finals, when you came out with Tyler Hero and Robinson. I mean, you had guys that you had no idea where they were coming from, but they made that team made it all the way to the finals and gave them that confidence. Miami is a complete team, and if Trey don't show up tonight at home, blow it up.
Yep.
Blow it up. Push the button because it's over.
Yeah.
If this is their season tonight.
Yeah. I totally agree with Jason with that. This is going to decide their season tonight. Their season either ends tonight or it continues. But yeah, tonight's a big night for Atlanta.
I still think they're going home either way. But it's a matter of do they get one game, no games, or 2 games. But if they go back to Miami, if they don't have one, it's done. It's over.
So Ron here is our resident. He's heavy on the gentleman suite. Ron, is it a full out suite, a gentleman suite? What you think, or who you rocking with tonight?
I'll do it for Bishop since he's lost his confidence.
He lost his confidence.
Boomers.
There you go. There you go. Right there, baby.
I expect a 40-point game.
Ooh.
Eight assists maybe. I definitely believe he has that killer instinct that we've been talking about a lot. He'll show up. He's going to show up. And Miami been bullying him. He's going to be happy to get back on his home court. Definitely. And I agree with you, Jay, too, that they should blow it up. They've been supposed to trade Collins for a while, and they're still holding to that asset. Does Clint Capella come back?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know about Clint Capella. That's a good question. Yeah, I don't know if he's back yet.
I don't know. I think Trey Young. I think Trey Young goes to his pressure looking like Cat tonight.
Drinking some wine.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go drink some wine.
Yeah, Clint is saying Clint's still out. So I might have to bring that 40 down to 30 and maybe 6 assists. But I wish he was playing. It would change it all.
So of course you have the second. Go ahead, Jason. What's up?
No, I was just. And I know this is going to switch this completely up real quick. But who's the Boomer Sooner here?
That would be me.
Bishop.
Okay, Bishop. I got a question for you, man.
What's up?
What happened to your girls' softball team against Texas the other day?
Man, don't do that. Don't do that. Really?
I mean, they're a great team, but Texas,
30,
of all the teams, of the 161 teams in Division I softball, you trip up to your rival, Texas? That's the one you choose to lose to?
But we had already beat them twice.
Bruh, what have you done for me lately?
30, come on, man. Y'all really serious? 38-1, 39-1.
Hey, bro, they're a great team. And I only say this because my best friend here is Boomer Sooner through and through. All I hear from him during softball season is Oklahoma softball, softball.
That's right.
We were in Springfield, Missouri when Stanford came through there to go to Oklahoma, and we sat down with them at length for about an hour talking about that game before they got waxed by Oklahoma, right?
Right.
But what happened?
I don't know, man. That Texas, it's like you said, it's that rival. It's that rival, just like the Red River Showdown every year with Oklahoma and Texas and Dallas. It is what it is. I hated that they lost to Texas. I do, because they, like I said, they already beat them like twice already. But Texas had their number that night and took the W over Oklahoma to give Oklahoma their first loss.
Did Texas show a blueprint? That's the question.
You know what?
Did they make them vulnerable?
So they did. I feel like they may have showed them a blueprint. The problem with that is everybody cannot duplicate. Everybody can't duplicate that blueprint though.
True.
Yeah, so I don't feel like even though the Texas may have shown what the blueprint is, everybody can't duplicate that. And Oklahoma is going to repeat as champions again this year.
I agree.
In softball, they're going to repeat.
So I know we was just talking about blowups for a second. What do y'all think about this? And Ron, I seen what I highlighted. You were shaking your head. Does Miami blow up if does Butler leave Miami if they can't get it done?
Yeah,
in Butler, Miami.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It ain't Hero. It's definitely Butler. So do you really get rid of Butler or allow Butler to leave?
They are sick and tired of each other.
They're what? What'd you say?
You think they're tired of each other after the blow up over? After that blow up.
Oh, him and you talking Spoelstra? You think they time to
remember? He said ways? he told Spoelstra they're only relevant because of D Wade.
Right.
And Pat Riley don't like that. That's not how he get down. Okay.
It's a possibility. I thought about that earlier too. I thought about that when him and Spoelstra fell out. I was like at that point I was like, ooh, I don't know if Butler gonna be there next year.
I'll say this: if Miami makes the Eastern Conference Finals, because winning solves everything. Winning covers up a lot. Right. If they make the Eastern Conference Finals, Butler comes back. If they go out first round to Atlanta, if they blow this thing and lose it and go out, then I think Butler might be gone.
Yeah, they lose next round to Philly in 5.
Gentlemen sweep. So
of course, it's a possibility.
Of course, with the next game for tonight, this is where the rubber meets the road. As we have the Milwaukee Bucks traveling to Chi-Town to take on the Chicago Bulls. As we was talking about, it looked like it's going to be it's looking like slowly but surely elimination coming up for the Bucks. But in the meantime, we still have this game 3 to play. Who y'all rocking with, Milwaukee or Chicago for tonight?
Fear the deer.
Here he go.
Giannis is finna show y'all. Giannis finna show y'all tonight why he is MVP. Why he should be an MVP candidate. I'm gonna leave it at that. Fear the deer. I'm just telling.
Giannis needs to. If Chicago gets this win on their home floor, watch ESPN and everybody else start doubting the Bucks. If they lose this game tonight in Chicago, okay, and go down 2-1, it's gonna be all of Stephen A. Smith, Jay, and all of them. They're gonna be on the Bucks, okay. And do they give a pass because Middleton's out? It actually, in my opinion, Brook Lopez is gonna be the key to this game.
Now that a bunch
it's
of Batman.
not Giannis is gonna do what Giannis does, but just like Jokic, can Giannis put up 75? I think it's Brook Lopez.
A lot of Batmans have lost their Robins in this course, and now they have to show and prove, and now we have 2 in the Chicago Bulls and Bucks, and then of course the next game. But I'll get Kevin, Bulls or Bucks. Who you rocking with tonight?
I'm gonna say that the Bulls. I'm gonna say the Bulls might be able to pull it out. They look like that's what's happening right now for them. It looks like there's momentum going on, so we'll see how it all works.
Ron, I know you're not too big on the Bulls, but of course we know reality is, we're saying perception is reality. So what is your reality, Bulls or Bucks tonight?
It's a must win for the Bucks. I'm riding with the Big
3. Okay. And of course, like I said, y'all know what it is for me. DeMar, let's get it. Continue your romp.
Right. The Bulls should have like stars in their eyes, like
it's blood in the water. Yeah, it's blood in the water at this point.
Definitely.
And they should get it. So, of course, as we were saying, there's other Batman and Robin tandems that are currently without the Robin. This may be a little speculative. Is Booker really the Robin in this situation? I don't know. But in any case, we got the Suns.
Wait a minute. The Robin in what?
In
Phoenix?
In Phoenix, yeah.
With CP3, don't do that, Bishop.
Come on, y'all. Jason, Kevin, y'all help me out. Y'all really feel like he's a Robin?
I'm going to say this. Let's look. Chris Paul is a great point guard. Okay, Chris Paul is doing what Chris Paul does. He facilitates. He scores when necessary. He makes Booker and Aiden better players. Okay, he is an alpha when needs to be there. Okay, I don't say Chris Paul is a LeBron or a Giannis or a Kevin Durant that he has to dominate all the time. He can defer and facilitate. I think in Phoenix it's more of a one alpha and a one bravo between those three, as opposed to a Batman and a Robin. You know, but Chris Paul can just do so much. That's how I would look at it in Phoenix.
They're the whole Justice League.
They are, yeah. There you go. They're the whole Justice League.
Yeah, I can agree to that.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, the development of Aiden helped out obviously Booker. Chris Paul staying healthy, where he doesn't have to do as much. Okay, I mean, he's still a great ball player, and he can still score when needed. But sometimes it's not needed, and Booker can drop 40, and he can just cruise. And I think that's what makes Phoenix so good.
So let me ask you this, Jason. What's the difference between the Suns being without Booker for the next 2 games versus Middleton being out for the Bucks?
Well, one, you still have Paul and you still have Aiden, okay? But Chris Paul makes everybody better. Okay. Giannis to me doesn't make everybody better. Chris Paul is a true point guard.
True.
Okay. He can drive this kick and make spot up shooters hit spot up shots. He puts people in better positions. Okay. Giannis is pretty much downhill. Get out of my way, and hopefully somebody gets a rebound if I miss.
One play, half-back dive.
That's it. Half-back dive up the middle. That's it. Chris Paul can hurt you in so many more different ways, and he just makes his teammates better. That's the difference to me.
So it's safe to say that you don't feel like them losing Booker for the next 2 games, they still could get 2 wins versus.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Now, if you told me they lost Chris Paul for the next 2 games, and you got to put it on Booker and Aiden solely, I think that's a better chance to lose than losing Booker for 2 games and having Chris Paul.
Okay. Good. I'm good.
Yeah, because when you look at on average, the Phoenix Suns still score or win games or outscore the teams by 8 points on average with just a Paul scenario. So it's still possible. I think what the damning situation is, I think that the Pelicans are a bad matchup for Phoenix initially, and now is a Pelicans team going up Phoenix team without Devin Booker. I think that's the problem, which is why New Orleans can slip in and jump and get them out of there.
I think that series can go 6. I think Phoenix wins in 6. I'll tell you this though, New Orleans doesn't know any better. New Orleans doesn't know who they're fearing because they're just a young team that just goes out right now and they're hitting their stride at the right time. They don't fear nobody though because they don't know any better. The respect factor isn't there to me. They're just out there playing ball. You know, they're just a team that doesn't fear anything because what they got to lose. You don't have Zion, but you haven't had him all year. Okay, you got Ball on the court. I mean, they don't know any better. They don't know any better. So they're just out there balling.
So who'd y'all pick for that game?
I'm walking with New Orleans. Correction. For this one, I think actually, I'm going with New Orleans. Yeah, I think New Orleans can pull it out.
They're in New Orleans, right?
Yeah, it's that energy.
Yeah.
I think New Orleans takes this game at home, but Phoenix wins 4-2.
Okay. I'm taking Phoenix tonight. I am going to take Phoenix. I believe in what Jason just said. I believe like Chris Paul is, he's the veteran on the team, and I feel like he's going to be able to facilitate enough to be able to steal a win out in New Orleans. So I'm taking the Suns. Professor, why you look like that, bro? Why you looking like that?
Cause where is Zion? Zion. I'm going as soon as we get done. I'm going to coach the basketball guys.
I don't know where Zion is.
I would have the audacity to say Western Conference Finals for the Pelicans is it just doesn't make any sense. I don't think the Pelicans win another game.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'll be different. I know, Jay, you said 4-2, but like we were saying, the Phoenix Suns are the Justice League, and if I'm watching what I watched the whole NBA season, it doesn't matter if CP3 or Devin Booker's there. They got a Defensive Player of the Year, Mikal Bridges, that's going to step up that we haven't been talking about. They got a whole team. There's no reason why they should lose to the 10th seed Pelicans. There's no reason.
Yeah.
Do you believe in fairy tales?
There's no reason they should have lost that game at home either, but they did. You know, sometimes a team just hits their stride at the right time and everything lines up. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Phoenix is the most well put together team probably of the top two of anybody in the playoffs right now, East or West. Mm-hmm. If you look top to bottom in the way they're playing, they had a trip up and a slip up. Mm-hmm. They can't go to New Orleans just like Milwaukee. They can't go to New Orleans and lose this game. It's going to make it that much tougher. But I think Phoenix has enough to come back and win the series if they do drop the game tonight. But the energy in the building down there in New Orleans tonight might just be enough to carry the Pelicans through this game. Okay. I just don't think it carries them enough to win the series.
I get you.
Yeah.
I get you. That makes sense.
So,
who's you pick between the Bucks and the Bulls?
The Bulls
tonight. The Bulls.
You pick Bulls. Okay.
Bulls.
Same thing. It's the same situation.
Yeah.
If Chicago going home to Chicago in a 1-1 series, I think Chicago's energy tonight can get them over the hump. Okay. I'm not going to say it can win them the series, but it's also going to depend on, like I said, who steps up in Milwaukee with Giannis.
Okay.
So of course, I have a couple. Let's have a little fun. I have a couple of questions for the whole panel, and then lastly, the last question I have will be specifically for Jason, as the other one. All of us have already been through that question as well. Oh. So I asked this question, right? I will give you two teams. I will give you the players on the teams. You tell me who wins this game. First team: Steph, LeBron, Giannis, KD, and Joel. That's first team. Joel.
So that's one team?
That's one team.
Say it again.
Steph, LeBron,
Giannis,
KD, and Embiid. Versus.
No one's beating that team.
Versus.
No one's beating that team.
Versus.
All right.
Magic, Jordan, Shaq, Kobe, and Bird. Who gets the who gets the win? Who wins the championship? The vets.
I'm assuming we're talking. So first off, with the first team you named, are we talking current or in their prime?
Prime players.
Prime on both teams, right?
Prime on both teams. Yes.
Yeah, I'm going with the veterans.
Yeah, I mean, hey. I gotta rock. I'm the Jordan era kid. I gotta rock with that team. Yeah, that's a big Kobe, Jordan, Shaq, Bird. I mean, you can even throw Hakeem Olajuwon in there.
And he said Magic. Come on, bro.
And Magic?
Oh no, that hands down. Hands down.
And now here's a caveat question. What rules are we playing? Are we playing 90s rules basketball? Or are we playing 2020 rules basketball?
That's big, Jason. That's huge.
So I would say this: if you go a 7-game series on each one of their home floors, you're playing different rules. It goes 7.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's huge.
That's huge. That's very huge. That's very.
I don't know, man. That's
very huge.
I think the equalizer is does when you look at does Steph get a shot off? Does Steph get a shot off?
He definitely gets a shot off. He definitely gets a shot off. But this is the better question. Who is the MVP for either team when it comes down to it?
Any one of them can be. Any one of them can be. On both squads. It doesn't matter. It could be Magic one night. It could be Steph the next. It could be Kobe one night. It could be KD. It could be Shaq. It doesn't matter. Any one of them can be the MVP. You know. But to answer Trey's question, not only does Steph get a shot off, Steph's more than just 3-point shooter. Steph can still get to the cup.
He's gonna break it down.
He can still drive and dish. He can break somebody down.
Who's guarding Steph at the end of the day? I think that's the key thing.
Kobe.
Who's guarding Steph?
Kobe or Jordan?
Kobe or Jordan?
Who's stopping Embiid?
Huh?
That's a good question.
Embiid?
Who's stopping Embiid? Think about it. Only Shaq. Shaq is one person.
Embiid can get with Shaq.
Who's stopping Embiid? Who's stopping Shaq? I mean, who's stopping Embiid? Who's stopping Giannis? Who's stopping KD?
Honestly, you can even put MJ, if we're talking the prime, you can put MJ in his prime on Embiid so he could step out with him. Don't know if he stops him, but he might limit him. You know? I mean, if you're adding, like I said, even if you sub Shaq with Hakeem Olajuwon, that I think would be a better matchup against Embiid because he could step out.
I'm looking at this. I think the diaper dandies could take this vet team, man.
Really?
It'd be close.
Yeah.
Again, like I said, which rules are we playing by?
Yeah.
The rules play a big factor, though. The rules do play a huge factor.
Because if you play 80s, 90s NBA rules basketball, I think the best
LeBron wouldn't last.
LeBron wouldn't get back on defense.
No,
wait. Did I mention LeBron and defense in the same word?
LeBron would last. I don't know if Steph would last. To be honest, I don't know if Steph would last in the 80s, 90s era of basketball.
I think Steph has a better chance because he's just gonna play ball. He'll adjust. LeBron, I don't know if LeBron is able to adjust because he's gonna cry about it too much.
Oh, Jay.
He won't. He ain't gonna cry. He's getting beat up.
Oh yeah, he's gonna cry.
Wait, we got
Steph. He's gonna cry.
We got Steph, Embiid, LeBron. Who was our other two?
Steph, Embiid, LeBron, KD, and Giannis. I think the diaper dandies got this, Ron. Tell me if you agree or not.
I don't, bro. It'd be a good one. It'll be a good one. It would
definitely be a good one.
Definitely be a good one. But you know what, Trey? Because you did that, I'm gonna see if I can put that team together on 2K and see what happens.
We watched prime LeBron shut down D Rose. Why couldn't he slow down?
Who? Did you say D Rose?
Yes, the MVP.
Who is D Rose? Like the 120th best all-time player? D Rose?
Come on. And prime D Rose was about to be the next big thing. If he never
Right. You just said was about to be.
Exactly.
He never made it.
We talking about prime though. We are talking about prime.
This is one MVP year. Is what I got to look at, and LeBron shut him down. And LeBron shut down just about everybody when he was in his prime.
So who is LeBron guarding in this game?
MJ.
Ooh, and he's going to shut him down.
I think he has. I think he should guard Magic. He would have to guard Magic. They're about
See, and that's the problem. That's where the problem comes up. That's where the problem lies.
Because now, what are you going to do?
So you put LeBron on Magic. Who's guarding KD now?
Giannis or KD?
Yeah, I think it's more problems. I think it's more problem. Oh, you know what? Yeah, you're right. It had to be Kobe. It's Kobe. You know what? I put Steph on. I don't know. I was about to say I put Steph on Larry, but Larry too.
Bird was still 6'9", 6'10", but Bird was not a squirrel.
That's what I was about to say. He couldn't jump, but Bird had that killer mentality too.
Bird's
like everyone on the
team.
You might be right. You might be right.
If you remember, even on the defensive side of the ball, we can't just say, well, Bird's going to get torched by Steph because Bird had to guard MJ.
That part.
In his prime.
That part.
When Boston, Chicago played all them times.
That part.
Even when Jordan dropped 63 in the Garden, I mean, still, Bird was the one that had to D him up. I mean, it's tough. You got to simulate it. It's just tough.
Yeah, it is. Tough.
You have to simulate that bishop and let us know what the outcome was. But I think the diaper dandies, man. That's just me. When you look at it, I think they have more of a versatility than what we look at in. But of course, we're talking about different eras, as Jason was saying. We're talking about some different eras in playing, but
different times of playing.
Yeah. So,
what about the fact that the diaper dandies aren't going to have anybody play in the paint? Everybody can. We got Giannis. But KD,
And
Steph,
Embiid.
LeBron, and Embiid all can play from the perimeter.
I think Embiid goes at Shaq and gets Shaq in foul trouble.
True, but then you turn that around and put Shaq in the post with Embiid with Giannis on him on the other side. Who gets who in foul trouble first? That's the question.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's key.
I'm sorry, you can't sit here and tell me that Giannis holds Shaq in the post.
No, ain't none of them holding Shaq in the post.
No, him or Embiid can do that.
Right. So it's tough. It's tough. But I think there's problems on both sides.
Shaq collapsed the middle. He collapses the lane.
Absolutely, without question. He's killing the lane. He's killing the lane.
Yeah,
and Giannis is going to have to help out Embiid.
Yeah, he gets stretched out on the defensive side, but then when he goes into the post on the offensive side, it's again who can impose what they do best in that game.
That part.
So Trey, what was the question you had for me? Because I'm gonna have to jump off here soon.
Okay, the question I have for you specifically: who is your Mount Rushmore in basketball in the NBA? Mount all time, everybody. Who's your Mount Rushmore?
Yeah, 4 players. It ain't 5. 4 players.
Four players?
That's all that's on Mount Rushmore. It's 4 heads. That's it.
What 4 heads is on your Mount Rushmore?
It's only 4 heads.
We can all just start with MJ and LeBron.
No, he ain't putting LeBron up there.
No, I'm not putting LeBron up there. Not all time. We're going all time, like all the way back. Yeah. So we're gonna discard Wilt Chamberlain. You're gonna discard Bill Russell.
You know what I mean?
People have put them on there.
Everyone we have. I don't know if he was put Wilt Chamberlain. Like I did put.
Somebody put Wilt Russell.
Okay, I put Russell. I did. I 2 of mine, which I'll give you. I had Russell and I had Steph. Those were 2 of them.
I mean, and we're going positionless.
I don't know. So
we're not going by positions.
Not by positions. Nope.
No, positionless.
Why is Wilt Chamberlain? I don't get the Wilt Chamberlain.
All right, hold on. I'll answer that. Why is Wilt Chamberlain? Who else has scored 100 points in the game?
Despite when it was.
We can talk about with stats. Who lost championship after championship after championship after championship?
I mean, okay, so are we talking championships or are we talking stats? If you're talking amount for basketball, are we talking individual players or teams?
We got to look at the big picture, which is why I think Bill Russell gets the 3rd spot over Wilt, who he dominated.
Well, see, as y'all saying it, that's what I'm thinking back and forth between those 2. I mean, individually, Wilt was a better player, but Russell had more championships. But I mean, does Russell's championships make him a better player, or did it just mean he had better players around him?
Good question. Good question. Good point. Good point.
So, I mean, honestly, if I'm going to say this, and I know this probably ain't what y'all want to hear, is I would split that piece and put both of them up there in one spot.
And I want to do the same thing for Magic. They say NBA.
I mean, a lot of people probably don't consider Bird.
He was. It's hard to do because it's like we only talk about 4 people,
right?
And it's a lot of people that had contributed to the game. Because like mine's was, I didn't even have Kobe on mine. It's like I had Magic, Steph, Bill, and begrudgingly Jordan.
What is Steph doing on your list? Trey?
He's the most prolific shooter of all time.
Who is the best shooter to ever grace a hardwood floor?
Oh
ever?
My God!
Is it not
Ray Allen?
No.
Reggie Miller.
Reggie Miller.
Yeah.
You know who probably was Steph like that he just didn't get to evolve? Drazen Petrovic.
Yeah.
I can see
his son. His son is a beast on the AAU circuit right now.
And with the killer mentality, like Drazen went at Jordan. Like he ain't fall back. He's like, hey, I want this smoke. That was the first person that asked for the smoke before we got people asking for smoke. Like Drazen was a monster.
He was
and a shooter.
I'm gonna tell you this. Watch out for his son, Drazen Petrovic's son. He's on the AAU circuit right now. He's gonna be something. But me personally, I gotta go Jordan. Mm-hmm. I gotta go Kobe. Okay, and I know Ron's not gonna like to hear it. I got those 2 to me. Bump LeBron.
I'll take Kobe over LeBron. I accept that.
Yeah. So I got between because those if I'm looking at those three, I gotta go Jordan, Kobe. I gotta go Bill Russell, and oh wow, the fourth one to me is between. God, I mean, there's so many.
It is. There's so many.
Yeah, Larry, Magic. I mean, LeBron's in that mix. Shaquille. I mean, for what Shaq did for the game when he was in.
Hakeem
Olajuwon. There, I would have to leave the fourth one blank. How about that? There you go.
Still to be determined.
So,
yeah.
Of course, before you let you get out of here, of course, we're about to get out of here 5 more minutes. So I asked you this, Jason. Of course, I know you, for the most part, you run 3 divisions, 3 conferences, and for the most part, have to keep some bias in the situation, unbiased. But in your 3 conferences, who are you looking at? If you was choosing one, or your mindset, let's take a walk through the mind of Jason. Who is coming out as the NBA champion this year?
Ooh, okay. That's a tough one because I'll tell you this. Just because a team finished where they're finished in the regular season doesn't mean they're going to have all those players for the Western Eastern Conference Finals or the NBA Finals, because the NBA Finals is 6 weeks later after the conference finals. You can have deployment, you can have school, you can have work or duty, you can have a myriad of things that can screw up that lineup. But just to take them at face value, where they are right now, out of the Pac West, you still have the defending champions, Luke Air Force Base, who has quietly picked up an 11-1 record this year. Okay, so I think you can't discount you can't beat until you beat the champion. You can't discount them out. So Luke Air Force Base is a tough team. Camp Pendleton out there as well is also 11-1. So then both of those teams are for me coming out of the Pac West. The Central has an 11-1 Fort Hood team. Okay, that's peaking, I think, at the right time, and they still have to go to Cannon this weekend and finish their season. CMB, Mike's team, okay, is standing at 9-1. Started off kind of slow, but has picked it up, and I think they're also peaking at the right time. My surprise pick, Trey, and it's not because it's y'all's show, but my surprise pick this year is Fort Polk. They're my dark because nobody knows what they are.
Exactly.
Nobody has any background. They are last year's Fort Hood. Nobody knows what they can go to the Western Conference Finals and blow through it, or they can go to the Western Conference Finals and fall on their face. I don't know what we're going to get out of them. And the Atlantic in the East, the Atlantic has Jackson Military Basketball with what Coach Wayne Walcott's doing out there with them, who's 10-2 in second place. JBLE, Langley Eustis has always got a strong team. They're 10-1 out there with their record. Fort Benning is a team in the middle of the pack that's peaking at the right time. I mean, Fort Campbell, even though they're on the bottom of the rack this year, you just don't know what Paul Parker's going to bring to the table with that team. So I know I'm kind of dodging the question. There's just too many teams out there to pick anybody straight up.
I feel it. So, a question: we see the Hall of Fame class. So, what is the criteria when y'all selecting the Hall of Fame, the classes? Which is this is your second or third class?
This will be our third class this year. We had our inaugural class 2 years ago. Then we had our class last year. Each branch, each branch gets their representatives that go back in time over Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marine basketball. And we put our best men and or women basketball players up for a vote within each service. And then the service representatives come together, and based off of the history and the accomplishments of those players, is what we use to narrow it down and pick 4 players to give us our 16 for the Hall of Fame class. So just because someone didn't make this class this year doesn't mean that they weren't good enough. It just might have mean that there was somebody that the committee felt might have been more deserving at this time. Because I might not know the other 3 services players, or I might not even be privy to all of the Army players, but when you match up their resumes, like I'll tell you this, like my selection this year was Jerice Harden. Okay. A lot, and coming out of the MDW area, as far as being stationed up there a lot, and what she did at All Army and USA basketball in the 80s and the 90s, a lot of people don't know about her or know what she played. When I was stationed in DC up there at Fort Myers in the early 2000s, and to see her on the tail end of her career, she was still running through people. Okay. So a lot of people don't know her or know what she did as far as for military basketball on the women's side. But when you match up her resume against the other people, she was my pick. Okay. And I mean, they'll get to see what she's about when they get to Denver. So, but we don't pick current players. You have to be retired at least 3 years of not playing military basketball before you can be considered. And we're taking it as far as coaches and players of that caliber right now.
Okay,
so
our girl, a good friend of ours, it was in the inaugural class, Bishop.
Oh,
who?
Kim Green.
Kim.
Oh, Kim.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, Kim's done a lot. Kim's done a lot for military basketball in her time, and I felt Kim. I feel Kim was deserving of that, and inauguration class. I was in it. But that was, what I was in it more for what we've done recently, as opposed to over my time as a player and a coach. But yeah, Kim's definitely deserving.
So of course, of course, as everyone has various things to get through on this weekend as we get ready to get started. Of course, be sure to check out the Gypsy King as he goes to defend his belt against White as we hopefully a good fight. But like I said, get ready to enjoy your weekend. We greatly appreciate the NBA coming on, Mr. Kevin Walker, Jason, Commissioner Myers, Ron, of course, as usual. Everyone, we greatly appreciate y'all coming on, rocking with us. As y'all know, if y'all are in these areas, Phoenix City, Las Vegas, in Denver in July, be sure to go through, check out the NBA, Military Basketball Association Conference Championship, Eastern Championship, Western, the finals. If you're in, as y'all heard Jason say, there's still some games going on. If you're in those areas, go check them out. I'm very sure you can go to the NBA website and check them out to see where they're potentially playing at, as they play at satellites and starships. 3 or 4 teams in one area. You can catch them all, see all the talent that the military has to offer. Y'all don't sleep on the military athlete. Be sure to check them out before we get out of here. Any last words, gentlemen?
I'll say one thing.
I think all y'all on Jason, Mike, Kevin, all y'all. Appreciate y'all for taking the time out y'all day to be with us today.
Thanks. I'll say this. It just scrolled across my phone. The Hornets just fired their coach. There we go. So I'll leave y'all with that, to talk about for next time. But no, I do appreciate y'all letting me come on and talk about it and just sports in general. I mean, anytime. I definitely would love to come back on after we get through the Eastern and Western Conference Finals, after Memorial Day, to kind of recap that and set up the NBA Finals with our top 16 military basketball teams. I'll say good luck to the teams that are traveling to San Antonio, next weekend to go down there. A lot of them, that's a good tune-up for them, because they're going to be playing against other teams, other military ball players that are, put together as installation teams or just guys coming together to play as ID card holders. So it gives them a good tune-up to play before we knock it out. So good luck to all of them down there. And I'm just like I said, I'm excited to see how this all pans out.
Yes, sir. Greatly. So yes, we'll definitely make that happen and get on after the Memorial Day weekend, so we can talk about it. What we have going into the finals in July the 14th. Greatly, of course, definitely gonna make that happen. I guess Ron's job out. So, of course, like you said, High Speeds, that's our show for today. Greatly appreciate y'all coming and checking with us and rocking with us. Look forward to seeing y'all, of course, like I say, every Monday through Friday, 09 to 1100 hours. We're right here. Come and bring you sports. Our guests next week, like I said, hopefully they got some people on. Actually, I think I guess the founder of the Military Nationals, we're gonna have him on. I'm gonna talk with him. Hopefully, you get on with the world. If you into flag football World Championship Tour, founder Mr. Travis Burnett and his co-founder, we hope to have him on. Some more, bringing G Solo back on to have a word with her, talk to her. We have some things that's brewing. So of course, just keep rocking with us, and y'all be able to see it right here first. That's all we have for today. Enjoy y'all day. See you next week. Here go Applewhite with this. Okay, Applewhite. Bishop, take us out, bro.
Hey, thank y'all. We appreciate y'all. Y'all enjoy y'all weekend. We'll see y'all on Monday. Row 5, Military Fraternity Incorporated. I'm going to holler back at y'all. Y'all have a great weekend.